You are very welcome to this video. In today's video, as you can see, my workstation isn't as tidy as it normally is. I thought I would just try to see the difference between using a groover and using a set of dividers, calipers, and the differences that it makes to the leather. Now the groover, I know, will make a groove, and its use is for where you might have some wear against the thread, and so if you recess the thread into the groove, then the thread will last a lot longer. And then the calipers are just there to mark the lines. Now, a couple of interesting points that I want to bring up just at the beginning. Andy left a comment and he said it would be a good idea if you put some Sharpie, use a Sharpie to show where you're actually polishing the knife, where you're stropping your knife, and that way you can get the angle absolutely correct. So I've put some Sharpie on here, and I will be using that, and we will see the results later. Later. The next thing I want to actually say is that just put that away as it's very sharp. Is I've cut some leather. I've been practicing cutting. There's bits of leather everywhere, honest, and I've been practicing cutting. And although I measured twice and cut once, these 5 centimeter, approximately 2-inch squares are not exactly the same size. If I line them up, I don't know if you can see, but there's certainly a distinct difference in the height, and the width is nearly perfect. So the next lesson I have learned is that you need to overcut whatever it is you're cutting until you know what you're doing, and then quite simply sand it down to the correct size or whatever once it's manufactured. So this is, as I say, we're going to use the groover, we're going to use the groover, and we're going to use the dividers, the calipers, and then in the next one we're going to try pricking the holes. So this is you could say a part 1 of a 3-part, because at some point I will need to sew them. So the first thing I need to do is, everybody says set them to about between 4mm and 3mm. Now 3mm, just over 3mm, is 1/8 of an inch. So 4mm is somewhat more than that. So I shall just see if I can. These are new, so they're actually quite stiff. Even though let's see, that's a bit small. Oh, the T-square when measuring is absolutely brilliant. I would recommend that to anybody. So put that one there and slowly move it down. Alright, that is 1/8 of an inch. Tighten it up. And I shall take the little plastic cap off there. Now there's I'm going to lose that, I know that. There is a cutting surface just here. How you sharpen it, I've got no idea whatsoever, but there is a cutting surface there. The other side there is no cutting surface. I don't know how you'd sharpen that, but right, so we're going to be running the edge, so we need to have between the edge and the cutting surface set to about 1/8 of an inch, and it is. Oh yes, I remember I set that up previously. It is actually, is it 1/8 of an inch? It is. It's about 1/8 of an inch. They're not exactly the same size, but they'll do. So let's just try the dividers first. So you put the outside one against the base, move it in about 3 millimeters, and then draw a line. That's quite easy, and you can certainly see that for pricking, using your pricking irons on there. Now that's, I don't know if you can see that, let's move it around, but I guessed the actual distances, and you can see it's relatively easy to do that. Make sure that whatever you're using is the right size, so if you've cut it oversized you'll need to trim it before you do that. Okay, so that's the first one. Now let's try the groover. Okay, so let's see what happens here. Again, we'll start about an 1/8 of an inch in and cut down. Ooh. About an 1/8 of an inch and cut down about, ooh, now that's an interesting one. It didn't like to go that way. Right, okay. I'm not 100% perfect with that. That needs just a little bit more. Now that's a distinct groove in there. You could probably do it twice if you wanted it a bit thicker. Sorry, the groove a bit deeper, should I say. But that's definitely done quite a good job on that. And again, I eyeballed the 1/8 of an inch, 3 millimeters approximately, that it's set up to. This is a little bit more difficult to use because when I cut this, I was obviously going the wrong way on the grain, and it's actually sort of left a little bit of a mark. I'm sure there's a way of doing it so that doesn't happen, but yeah, you can actually feel that it doesn't really want to cut properly when you're going against the grain. The other 3 sides were fine, but that one it didn't like it at all. So just tidy it up. Ooh, well, yes, so I've just ruined that piece of leather. So pay attention. So pay attention when you're grooving, because I don't know if you can see it, I wasn't paying attention and I've ruined that. Now, if that was a piece that I was going to make into a pocket or a wallet or something like that, well, it would be start again. But as I'm learning, it's a good training opportunity, as they say. I must do something about that. That's the other thing. Right, so just one more square. As I say, now the interesting thing is that because these are not the same size, and you can definitely see that, okay, if I try and sew these together, then whatever line I put through there will not hit perfectly on the back. It doesn't matter how I prick it or what I do, it's just not going to work properly. So that's something I need to make sure that if I am going to put a groove or a groove line in, that each one must be perfect. Now, I'm told you could use the leather itself to help cut. I'm going to just try that, but I don't hold out much hope for my... So what I've done is I've pushed it right up against each other, and this is the edge here that's not straight, so I shall just through the line. Actually, that's done quite a good job. A little bit of sanding and it'd be perfect, actually. So those two are now the same size, exactly the same size. Put the blade away, otherwise I'm going to cut myself. Are these the same size? Ooh, they're pretty close. The top edge is not right. So I'm not going to actually put anything on here. I'm going to practice with this. I'm going to cut numerous pieces of scrap. As you can see, these 2-inch scraps are probably a good idea. Actually, that's a point. If I make one a bit longer, a 2-inch scrap might be sufficient to make a knife sheath, but it has to be longer so that the blade doesn't touch the stitching, so the blade would have to finish there, so it doesn't touch the stitching. So that's something I can look at for a future task. Maybe the first thing that I try and make will be a cover for that, because I'm not too happy about that cover. But as I say, in the meantime, that one is using the dividers, the calipers, that one is using the groover, and that one is blank. And next time we'll look at pricking out and see what's what on that. Please leave any comments below. I do read all the comments, and I will respond to them as well if I can. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.